story's over, but it's really not. As
yeah, because it's a real kind of like a cookie cutter ending almost.
Yeah, where you're like
to that certain point where you're falling for it. Like, oh, this seems too good to be true.
Yeah, like, what do they have up their sleeve? We cut to the next, or however much time. I'm assuming it's been at least a month or so, because Jen is cleaned up. Her scars are kind of healed, and she's goes to visit her dad. I think he's a contractor.
Yeah.
And then you can see that her pregnancy is showing. That's why I'm saying some time has passed, right? And she's
I'd say about 2 or 3 months in.
Yeah, right. And then so we see Jen drive back.
I think she tells her dad that she's gonna go back home and pick up a pizza for the boys and watch a horror film.
Yeah.
And did you love did you catch the what she says when she's telling her dad what movie they're gonna watch?
Yeah, the nod to Wrong Turn, where she's like, "Oh yeah,
yeah, that was so perfect."
She's like, "Yeah, the boys picked something with inbred hillbillies again, or cannibals."
Yeah. He's like, again?
Which
I
is
was like, oh my god, that was so funny, so meta.
Which is it's interesting to think about in the story, because it's like, yo, if your dad and your sister had just went through some traumatic shit like that, would you really be watching something like that anyway?
Right.
But it is what it is. It was very funny. Yeah, I agree with you. It was meta. So anyway, she goes back to her family's house, and it's worth noting, I feel like, because Jen and her Jen is Scott's daughter from a previous marriage.
Yeah,
and you can feel
the stepmom has the 2 younger boys, high school age,
and you can feel there's some weird tension going on between them. Even though it's very subtle, but yeah. So she gets back there. She walks up the stairs to go inside the house, right? And she hears the stepmom and the kids talking to somebody, and then it's Venable and the little girl from the foundation sitting
her name's Ruby.
Yeah, or Ruthie.
Ruthie. That's what it is.
And yeah, so they're sitting at the dinner table in street clothes, and her stepmom turns to her and she's like, "Oh, hey, these are our new potential neighbors. They're looking at the so-and-so house, And then Venable's like, "Oh, well, nothing's concrete yet, but hopefully everything works out." And Jen, you can see kind of the color kind of drain from her face, and she's not sure what to do, and she's like, "Oh, I need to use the restroom," and she goes immediately into the bathroom and throws up, and then we see her kind of she leaves the restroom and goes to, I think, her room, pulls out a drawer from her dresser, moves the clothes, revealing 2 big ass hunting knives.
Yeah.
Takes him out, walks back into the living room, and she tells Venable point blank, "Get the fuck out of my house." And because the stepmom has no idea what's going on, she's like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" And then Jen jumps up on top of the table and lunges herself at Venable, and he grabs her real savage-like and throws her into the cupboard behind. And then takes one of the knives from Jen and murders the stepmom immediately, impales her like in the chest, in the heart it looked like, and then slits both of the brothers' throats.
That scene right there was to me, I was like, damn, that was smooth. Like, that was so clean. Like how he did it, it was so sick. I'm like, dang, that choreography, like just how, I mean, they didn't have to do anything, the stepmom and the 2 brothers, but just how he moved. Yeah. It just felt so, like, I don't know how to explain it, just like smooth, like clean. I don't know. It was just, It was like in a one fell swoop. It's just like bam, bam, bam. Like this dude's John Wick.
Yeah, but then and then Jen gets up and immediately impales him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so dope. I mean, when that happened, I was like, oh shit! Like she's a savage too. Like I don't know. And then we find out that whole thing was I mean, you hear the stepmom talking. She's like, Jen, hello, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then like the dead body's just talking. Like what the? I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then you come to find out that was a whole like a hallucination basically.
Yeah, like her playing out a scenario in her head.
Yeah.
And then we are, brought back to reality with her still standing at the end of the dining table, Venable and Ruthie still there. And, she snaps back into reality, Jen, and she goes, hey, can I talk to them in private? And the stepmom doesn't really question it. She's like, oh, yeah, sure. Come on, boys, or whatever. And Jen's like, yeah, we're going to talk about business for a little bit. And she basically tells Venable, like, look, I'll go with you. I'll go back with you because I know what this is about. But you have to promise me that you're never going to come back here and you're never going to, you won't touch my family. And he's like, okay, pretty much.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And so, and then there's just like this kind of slow motion of them walking out of the house. And then we see an RV with a couple of more Foundation kind of cronies waiting in the wings. And she gets on the RV and they take off down the street. And we think that that's the end of our film. But like I said in my write-up, watch as the credits roll.
Yeah.
Because once they get maybe a block down, the RV loses control, smashes into a parked car, and then I think somebody gets out of the...
I think that was Venable.
Yeah, the first one, he gets out and he's clearly injured, and then I think he falls to the ground, and not far behind is Jen. She gets on top of him and just stabs him so many times.
Oh my god, yeah.
So many times.
Brutal.
And then out of the other side is one of the other Foundation dudes he tries to get away, and she fucking takes the hunting knife and throws it and impales him in the back. He falls to the ground. She walks over to him and just stabs the living shit out of him until he's dead for sure.
Yeah.
And then Ruthie, the little girl, of course, that we've been talking about from the Foundation, comes out of the RV, and her and Jen just kind of do this slow walk towards the camera, as it's a far like a, how do you say, like a landscape kind of shot.
Yeah.
And they're just walking down the road, and you see just Jen is in this kind of trance. And as the credits roll, they walk until they're past the camera, and you're not sure. We're kind of left with this uncertainty as to where could this lead, or what's going to happen. But damn, what a creative way to end the film where you're not expecting that.
Yeah, I wasn't for sure.
Because you're kind of let down, like, man, all of that, and she has to go back with those fuckers after all of this. Venable fucking bootleg Bruce Campbell. Yeah. But nope, she got him, and it was just kind of showing how ruthless she could be, especially because she has this newborn. Just what an incredible ending, and a great film, an underrated film in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to say a lot of people they're not aware of this one.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was released earlier, like mid-January of 2021, so a couple months back only. And yeah, I feel like this probably just got lost in the shuffle as to how many wrong turns are out on the street, and it's a shame. I hope it finds new life down the line, you know, because it's worth it. It's a great production value, you know, great acting. It's shot very well. The director is, I think the only other film he's done is a small film as well called The Domestics. I don't know if you've seen that. So this is...
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, this is just his second picture. And man, what, such a good midnight flick, this one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's like, yeah, this movie's probably not trying to win any awards or anything like that, but it's good, and it does like some great fan service, you know, if you're into this kind of genre.
Yeah, it was a cool one to watch. I had never seen it before, so it was and I wasn't even like, I'm one of those people who wasn't even aware that this film existed.
Oh, so if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have known that it was even around?
No, yeah, exactly. I didn't even know there was 6 other wrong turns. I knew there was a handful, but I didn't know the exact amount. You know, I thought there was a couple, but 6 is a lot. And then, so this is, was this his attempt at kind of rebooting the series, or?
Yeah, I think it's like a re-envisionment, similar to kind of what Rob did with Halloween, where it's like, here's how I would...
My take on it.
Yeah, like, or how I would do this movie, or how I would think it would play out in today's how do you say, culture or whatever, you know, because there's a lot of it's very in tune with society today, because you have like more representation, people of color, LGBTQ, you know, like all of these things that are happening that are like, yo, like this feels like a contemporary film, like a horror film done right, and it's hitting all its marks, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, here's all these white people and they're gonna get cut up and you're for no reason, it's fun, you know, don't question it. It's just trying to do something more.
What would you rate this one?
For me, I think this is an 8, solid 8.
Yeah, I was gonna give it an 8 too. I enjoyed this one. It was a cool watch. It was a new fun experience, and Alyssa actually liked it too, because she was in and out of it. She was doing some homework, but she was right there watching it as well. So
it's hard
to see the ending and everything.
Yeah, it's hard not to, because it's also not very short the way that the other ones are. I feel like the other ones are like an hour, 24 minutes. It's very, very fast paced, and you don't get to spend a lot of time with anybody. And in this one, it's like a real journey. A lot of stuff happens in this, to the point when you get to that RV and what goes down, it's like you feel, at least in my opinion, it's like fulfilling. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm glad that I took the time to check this out, you know, and that's why I bought it. I own it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I rented it initially because I was like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna be, you know, good. And then, I loved it so much that I was like, you know what? I'll bring this into the collection. It's a good one, if not the best one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd have to rewatch the first one. I haven't seen the first one. I think I've only seen the first one once, and that's when it came out on, like, I don't even know if it was on. I know it was on TV. I'm pretty sure I watched it with my grandma.
It was. It came out in 2003, so definitely it was still VHS, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to say. I think we might have rented it from Blockbuster or something. If was Blockbuster still around in 2003? Yeah.
Blockbuster didn't leave until maybe
like 2009, 2008.
Yeah, 2010 maybe, I think.
Yeah. I think we rented it. I think she probably rented it from Blockbuster, because she's the horror person in our family, and she'd always introduce me to creepy crap when I was younger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember watching the Blair Witch Project with her. It scared the crap out of me.
I wasn't even allowed to watch that when it came out. Which
I don't think she didn't know what it was. I mean, she knew it was a scary movie, but like